Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Race Beyond the American Dream Sports. I'm your host, Mr. G. Lacey. Boom, guys. And I'm with my co host, boom, Mr. Blake. What's up, Mr. Blake? What's going on, man? What's going on?
What's going on,
I know, man. Hey,
man?
we back again, my friend. Episode 5. We here, and it is a new year, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get ready, man. Let's get ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look,
Right,
in 2026, 2025, man, it went by like this. It was crazy, but
it really
we
did.
here
Yeah,
back once again. And bro, we finna start off with some news, man. First
let's
start.
get it.
Victor Wembanyama has a day-to-day injury, according to multiple news sources. You understand what I'm saying? So, based on this, right? What does this mean for the Spurs right now? And will this be a lingering issue as the year progresses? What you think, Blake?
I'm gonna reverse that and say, is it gonna be a lingering thing? Spurs are a good team. They shown they could be a good team without them, but they're even a better team with them.
Right,
So that kind of does put like a monkey wrench in what they're trying to do because they're the only team as we can see that really can handle or play with OKC, the defending champs, who's looking even stronger this year and
right,
ready to repeat.
right,
So it's tough, man. He comes back from the hyperextended knee injury, the injury he came from, and then he's right back on the day to day thing. It's like, man, he can't catch a break, and I'm pretty sure he's trying his best to be healthy.
right,
And so, man, it's a tough break for the Spurs, but from what I've seen, they the kind of team they have really talented guys like Castle, like rookies coming out there playing out their mind, Harper,
right,
Fasell, Keldon Johnson, guys like that. All those supporting cast he got,
right.
it does make him a better team when he's out there. I'm not gonna lie, like he is their rising star, man. Like
Yeah,
that kid is something else. He's unbelievable, and you don't have him on the court, it's gonna be tough. So,
right.
and the other part of your question, what was the first part you asked?
I said, well, what does this mean for the so for the immediate future? I'm just trying to figure out what does this mean now for the Spurs? Do you think that they could still maintain with them now? You know what I'm saying? Now you said that the as far as it's not going you do you so you think first off you do think it's going to be lingering, you said, right?
It's gonna yeah, because I like having injuries like that, especially messing with a hyper-distended knee. Those kind of injuries they linger and they're tricky. You got to
Right.
kind of like with a bad ankle or a hip or whatnot. So it's just like yeah,
Right.
like if you can't maintain it, that's gonna something that's gonna really kind of affect his season a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah, and I
But
mean,
other than that, man, yeah,
oh,
other than that, he's good.
okay. So just going to give my opinion on it. I'm going to say that based on what I've seen with the Spurs, don't get me wrong. I do think that without him, they are a decent team, right? They can do some things without him. Um, but however, as far as their overall chemistry with Wembanyama, and just based on how far they are trying to go as a team, they definitely
Hmm.
are going to need
Yeah,
Wembanyama in the future as far as the playoffs is concerned. Now,
yeah,
in the immediate future, I mean, I think that you know what I'm saying that they might be able to do without him for maybe I'll say maybe a couple weeks or something like that, maybe a week or something,
yeah.
because they're still a decent
Hmm.
team. But to not have him
Right,
the rest of the season, or to continue to have this particular injury that he has to continue to linger, I think that that's going to
yeah,
be something that we're going to have to look and check into as the season goes on. Because, like I said, if they have high playoff hopes, Wimbenyama is the glue of their team. So they're definitely going to need somebody like Wimbenyama, especially to fit into that role. Not just from a scoring standpoint, right? Because
right.
most of the time, it's not just his scoring that does it. It's all the other things that he's doing. On the defensive end, being able to
Yeah,
deflect shots, being able to kind of make the defense think twice about guarding certain guys without, considering or guarding him, not guarding him without considering they can't guard. They got to guard other guys and stuff like that. So he really opens up a lot of the
Right.
offense and the defense for the Spurs. And so I think that ultimately, because he's able to do well on the defensive and offensive end, and he kind of opens it up for them all around. I think that's what's going
Hmm.
to really hurt them if they can't get him back on the court consistently. And that's why I think that in the immediate future, it might not be as bad of a situation, but coming and going, towards the later stretch of the season, I think that it might become an issue. And if they don't try to make sure that he's healthy, which I think this is good right now that he's out. If they don't try to make sure that they kind of keep him out enough longer and to make sure that this injury doesn't linger to where it could become a problem or he can get injured later on in the year to where he might be possibly out during the playoffs, then that's good. But
Yeah.
I think that they really got to monitor this, like you said. So it's really going to be kind of how they kind of monitor the issue and kind of figure out how they can monitor without him by basically at this point until they can realize or figure out how they can make sure that this injury doesn't become something that can permanently hurt them or put them out for the rest of the season. So, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yep, yeah. But I mean, overall, the Spurs are doing well, man. Like the Spurs
It's
have
definitely something
great.
good to see.
Yeah, they second in the West. They are the kryptonite basically to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's just
There
something.
they are.
Yeah. So it's just something that I feel like that they have to monitor with Wembanyama as far as his injury and his health overall. They got to make sure that they manage it correctly so that they can have a good playoff run. So,
Absolutely.
yep. But with that being said, my friend, on to the next topic of discussion. Um, so on to the next topic of discussion. Speaking of lingering injuries, got all this stuff coming on my screen. I got Bible verses covered on the screen and everything, man. That's crazy.
Uh, mm.
Because I'm doing this from the phone,
Tell you
so
about
it's crazy.
technology, man.
Yeah. When you're doing something from the phone, guys,
Off on the
just
phone.
let you know I'm doing this live, and then the notifications are trying to come on my phone, and they're all coming off at once. But nonetheless, on to the next topic of discussion. So, speaking of injuries, right? Nikola Jokic
Uh,
is set to be out for 4 weeks. Now, the question is, will this affect their standings as far as their standings in the West when it comes to the Nuggets? And does it matter what seed the Nuggets get in the playoffs? What you think, Blake?
well, if it's affecting the Nuggets going like as far as their seeding, I would say yes because you still got teams, competing. No, that's actually pretty good. Like other than just the OKC and San Antonio, so you got the Lakers, you got the Rockets who came out of nowhere. Teams is still right there in the mix. So it's important, it's prudent, especially at this time of the year. Even though it's the beginning of the year of the 2026, but for the NBA, you heading right towards that mid part, and you kind of know where you want to be, what team you are, what team you're going to be to go and going forward. Making a playoff push because I tell you, right after the All Star break, it's gonna be rock and rolling. Like you can't be behind, you can't be mediocre. It's either
Right.
you're gonna be good or you're gonna be bad. So it's for them to lose Jokic for about 4 weeks, man, that is rough. Like that dude
Yeah.
never missed time, really. Like he's on the court, always putting up triple doubles every chance he get. But he just ran into a bad streak of luck this time. It's like, man. So that's now that's pretty much gonna hurt him. I would say not as much. When he comes back, and they kind of been like an up and down team anyway. They're not really the force to be reckoned with anymore. Well, or they're not the only ones. Let me just per se, they're not the only ones to reckon for us. But with Jokic in there, that makes him a better. It gives him a better chance of getting like being one of those top teams everybody can talk about. One of the guys who can compete for a title.
Right. Okay. So, um, on this particular issue, right? When it comes to Nikola Jokic, and then when it comes to the Nuggets in general, and just how much of an impact he really has on that particular team, right? Jokic is basically everything for that team. Don't get
Yep.
me wrong; like they have other pieces that are very just as much as important as he is. But Jokic, like I said, just like Wembanyama is like the glue for the Spurs, Jokic is the glue for the Nuggets,
Yeah.
right? And to me, it's not just
Absolutely.
like I said, it's not just a him scoring thing, right? It's how he assists the ball. It's how
Yeah.
he makes the defenses think twice. It's how he makes, them very much able to have open shots and have different opportunities for different guys on the team on the offensive end. So it's multiple
Right.
things that Jokic does that makes him the type of player that he is. And that's why he has such a, he's so unique, right? That's why he has 3 MVPs. That's why he's been able to be so dominant in the league, is because he does more than just score the ball. He does more than just assist the ball. He basically changes the whole landscape of a game. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
in terms of what his
Yeah.
skill set is, so you can do multiple things. And so when you have a player like that, it's hard to be able to play on the court without somebody like that's you're basically your glue guy,
Yeah.
because it's not just like I said, it's not just a scoring thing, it's everything else he do as well. And so going into the next part of the season, I don't know, man. If they get the wrong type of seed against a certain team, you never know. It might affect just how far they go
Oh.
to the playoffs, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we've seen in the past couple
Absolutely.
of years, when they get like I don't know, a second seed, third, I don't even know, like maybe a fourth or fifth seed, even then, that could be they could be playing a first seed, a first seed, in the second round. And you play the first seed in the second round, that would be Oklahoma City. And we all know how
Yeah.
how tough Oklahoma City is right now. I mean, they're basically unstoppable. The only team that's getting close to them is the Spurs. So you meet a first round team, not a first round team, but a number one seed team in the first round or the second round. That's going to be a hard fight.
Yeah.
You know? So I think seeding just may matter when it comes to this particular situation for the Nuggets. So I think that it's important for them to maintain his health for the next couple of weeks or next 3 or 4 weeks while
Mhm.
he's trying to recover. But I think it's very also important for them to make sure that they focus on getting a definite
Yeah.
top five, maybe even top three seed, so they can avoid playing somebody that is a tougher opponent in the playoffs. Just because I'm not so sure that they are the
Oh.
same team that they
Yeah.
used to be. Now, maybe some other people may think that they are because they got Bruce Brown back. And don't get me wrong, this Nuggets team is still a great team to, a formidable foe to play in the playoffs as far as the Western Conference is concerned. But it's still up in the air if they really have what it takes to take that extra step and have that extra mile. And without Jokic, or without them possibly getting, like I said, a top three, top five seed, it may be a lot harder for them to get out of the West,
Mhm.
considering the different teams that we have there now, like the Spurs, like the Oklahoma City, like the Rockets. You know what I'm saying? And I would throw even the Timberwolves in there. You know what I'm saying? You got teams like that
Timberwolves. Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, that are very dangerous, coming up on. And if you get a certain team, you might land in a situation where you got a 7 game series. Now you got to play a drag out brawl just to even get out of the first or second round, you know?
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be
seeding can
competitive this
possibly
year.
happen.
It's really.
Yeah. Hopefully this injury, like I said, isn't too bad, but I think that overall they
Yeah,
make sure that they try to stay within that first five of this of the Western Conference, because if they get any lower, it'll make it a difficult run for them in the playoffs. And we
yeah,
all know that when it comes to the Nuggets having a difficult road, especially when they're not a top three seed, is something that usually triggers them to not do so well, you know?
right.
So yeah, so we'll see, man. But it's always exciting to watch basketball when Jokic is playing, and just exciting to watch him overall in his game, and just how much he's definitely elevated um, his game and grown great over the years. And it's just exciting to see all the different things he can do on the court. So hopefully he gets better.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And we can see him back on the court and competing just like we see him every night. Um,
Yep.
but with that being said, my man, on to the next topic of discussion. Anthony Joshua has been injured in a car crash last week. This
Mm.
this was I mean, this was surprising news. Very surprising news, very unfortunate news. Glad that nothing happened to him. God bless those who were injured or lost their lives in this particular crash, because this was, like I said, this was a crazy thing that happened out of nowhere. Just a week after he
Hmm.
had fought Jake Paul, he's in a car crash with some of his friends, and it's crazy to think of just how in a span of a week your whole life could change. And so, with that being said, right, um, how does this affect his immediate boxing future?
Uh, just as long as they say, I'm not sure if he was real, like he was injured. I think he said he was there. He said he was okay, but then I think he did lost a friend or whatnot, or then another one got real injured. But as far as his future, it's gonna be rough to get past. That such car accident is just such a traumatic thing to go to. It happens so suddenly, like
Right,
out of nowhere. You don't expect these things to happen or come out. Like you just you expect them to first arrive at your front door. It's just something that's just really just blindsidely hit you. And man, I'm glad he's okay. You know, prayers go out to the his friends and the friends of the and his family of his friends. It's rough, but as far as his boxing career, he's gonna be okay.
right,
I believe he's gonna be okay. It's a tough thing to come overcome, but mentally, after having a good win versus a well known guy, he's he's gonna bounce back. I believe he's gonna bounce back.
gotcha. Okay, so with that being said, I guess here's how I guess I'll kind of come in about it. Um, so when it comes to Anthony Joshua, my man, because like I said, this was so unfortunate, so unexpected. First off, like I said, once again, God bless those who lost their lives or who were injured in this car crash, because you never, like
Yeah,
I said, something like this you never expect to happen. But you know what I'm saying, for it to do have happened, I
yeah,
know
you
it's,
don't.
it's devastating, not just to the people who are family members of Anthony Joshua, but to those who are family members of the victims who really injured themselves and probably lost their lives in this particular car crash. And so with that being
Right.
said, not only do I think that it could be traumatic from a mental standpoint for Anthony Joshua, but I know that after that fight with Jake Paul, there had been a lot of hype behind his name as far as where he could go, the opponents that he could possibly face, especially when it came to the heavyweight division. Now that I know that this has happened, I know that those talks are going to die down, and so it's one they're going to beg the question of who's going to step up next when it comes to this heavyweight division, because
Hmm.
there's not many people, I would say, who are doing that well in that division, and who have that type of ranking as far as somebody of a Anthony Joshua caliber type fighter. There's nobody that's at that caliber that's doing that well that anybody is like looking to take the next step. I know that on one of the shows
Right.
they talked about Usyk is now retiring, right? And so
Usyk, yeah. Yeah, he
so now
retired.
I
Yep.
don't know how that's going to work. Now there's another new world heavyweight champion, and it was possibility that Joshua was going to get a chance to face that particular champion. But now that he's had this
Yeah.
accident, and this is probably going to cause him to be out for more than maybe 5 to 6 months, possibly, right? We got to consider that
Yeah.
this is going to be a big impact on him trying to make that leap and trying to get back into the division like he was trying to do. So God bless him.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Like
an
I
uphill
said,
climb for sure.
yeah. So God bless him and God bless the people that were also, like I said, affected, the family members that were affected by this, the people who lost their life in this, may they rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a tragic event and an
Yeah.
incident, and you never wish that on anybody. And hopefully,
Yeah. Right.
and that family can, have the closure of God, and have the family the closure of Christ, and hopefully that helps them get them through that. Hopefully the Holy Spirit gets them through that and helps them get past, the situation of dealing with the loss of their family member. I know that
Right.
it's never going to, go away, but in time, hopefully, may God bring them through it. So, um, with that being said,
Right.
yeah, that's
God can
tragic,
answer for
man.
him.
And like I said, if it was out of nowhere, man, it was very much out of nowhere. The fact that it happened, and you know what I'm saying, and it happened in that manner, to just have somebody, be in there with their two best friends, and I don't know if both of them were injured and ended up dying, or one of the two of them. I forgot the full story, but like I said,
One of them died. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
tragic,
Yeah.
tragic, and just
Yeah.
you go from a big celebrating a victory to one of your best friends passing away. It's sad.
Man.
Yeah, and life is short, my man, and that's why, always you got to can't take no moment for granted, and you got to thank God for every moment that you get, because you never know when something like that's going to occur. So, God bless them, man, and may his friend rest in peace.
Exactly.
And like I said, may God, in Christ give them, give his family closure, and wrap his arm, and may God wrap his arms around that family and help them, seek some comfort and protection, and just overall just, a sense of love at this time. You know what I'm saying? In terms of putting some
Hmm.
type of love around them, as
Right.
comforting them and helping them heal from this particular loss, because it's going to be hard, man. You know. So yeah, man.
Right.
But with that
Definitely.
being said, man, it's kind of sad story, but I'm going to move on to the next one. This one is more of a disappointing one, ladies and gentlemen. So DK Metcalf was suspended for 2 games. Do you think he could have handled this particular incident a better way? And how critical is this, considering the Steelers' playoff hopes being on the line?
And George, me and you had talked about this the other day. Like this hurts because we seen how they played the last game.
Yeah,
They couldn't really get nothing going on offense because they don't have their number one guy out there.
right,
And you think the Ravens are going to be some team that's going to let up? I mean, we can talk about. You can't really say nothing because if we don't win this game, we're out the door. You're out the door. You guys are done. And just if you wouldn't went back to that moment, and fans are going to talk, people are going to talk. We all know they can't play this game like the professional athletes that run that field.
right,
You can't let their words get to you because they can't do. Like I said, they can't produce nothing you can do on there, and that's all they're there for. They're going to heckle you. They're going to get somebody to try to get a reaction out of you, and
right.
they won. You don't let the fans win ever.
No,
So, but he did, and it cost him 2 games.
Right.
And dude, like, this hurts because we, like I said, if we don't win tomorrow, Steelers don't win, out, you
Yeah.
gone,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and all because of your actions. You one of the like one of the leaders on the team, especially leading that receiving core.
Right.
The main goal to make the life one of the lifebloods to the offense.
Right.
You can't have that. Can't have that.
No, not at this particular time of the year for sure. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say that when it comes to this particular situation, man, I'm a Steelers fan, man. And when I tell you that when I saw this happen and the fact that he got suspended for 2 games, and
yeah,
then one of the games that he just got suspended from, we ended up losing at the end. And one of the reasons is because we couldn't catch a pass, right? And that's
right.
that's where DK
So
comes into
frustrating.
play, right? And so the fact that you're not there in order to be able to help your team the way you need to in an effective and efficient manner, and you let something such as a fan saying something to you get you off of that field is crazy. And he definitely should have handled it a better way. And this could possibly cost his team the season. The season.
Yeah,
This is crazy.
the season.
So, I mean, in the future, man, a lot of players got to take this and learn a lesson, man. You can't be out here trying to fight with these fans and worry about what they think about you. Yeah, fans are going to talk and
Right.
what they're going to say. I mean, that's just
Every
part of
time.
the game. That's part of the game,
Yeah.
man. But at the end of the day, you got to think to what really matters, and that's you being there for your team and you doing what you need to do to stay professional, so you can go out there and win ball games and be the best player you can be, so that you can give your team the best shot to win. That's the more important thing than trying to go at this fan or make this fan feel a certain type of way, because at the end of the day, they're going to come and go. But your opportunity to put yourself
Right.
in this particular, in a particular situation where your team is a good playoff team and possibly can not only make the playoffs but get a chance to be a contender. You know what I'm saying? That only comes around every year. You got one shot at it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Every year, and
Mhm.
then you got to wait until next year. And right now, your team,
I agree.
their season is on the line. And what is it? You can't be here because you got suspended.
Man,
Just ridiculous,
you
man.
talking about just really just hurting your team and just put them in a bad position to
Yeah,
unsucceed.
yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy, and I couldn't believe.
Got to be smarter, man.
Yeah, he definitely does. Definitely does have to be smarter, man. In every sense of the word, he has to use his brain and think before he decides to make a decision that can affect not only just, you know what I'm saying, this is immediate future, but it can affect his future as a whole on that team. Because now, we don't know what's going to happen if the Steelers don't make the playoffs this year.
Oof.
Yeah,
And knowing that's really the sole reason. I know we had like they had the ups and downs, you know, ins and outs, all season long. But that when you really look at it and you look back to what to that particular time when he punched that fan, and knowing that the Steelers lose 2 games to get themselves out of the playoffs, but it's because they didn't have enough offense to score points. This is really that's the point that they're gonna look back right there at that game and say like, man, like where do you go from here? Because now that's bad. Not thinking about negative things here, but just saying what if factor
right,
about what if like if we lose this game tomorrow, then that's gonna look bad. Now if they make it, of course things are gonna be hunky dory. He's gonna be back in the playoffs and they have a shot. To, they now they have a chance in the postseason to succeed. But tomorrow's gonna be really the tail end all of what's gonna happen here.
oh yeah, and that's going. But yeah, man, I'm just was saying, man, like honestly, dude, that we got to make sure that You know what I'm saying? As far as DK Metcalf is concerned, like I said, or any teammate or anybody on any NFL team for that matter, that stuff like that doesn't happen because, like I said, it's going to affect their ability to possibly make the playoffs, man. And at the end of the year,
Yeah,
you can't have like things like that. So I just say to to them, man, I'm hoping that they can do it. But with what happened, man,
yeah.
hey, with what happened, man, it's gonna be a tough call. That's all I got to
It'll be
say.
a tall, yeah,
Yeah, you
tough
know
call
what
and a
I'm
tall
saying?
order.
Tall order, especially against one of your you know what I'm saying, rivals in the Baltimore Ravens, man. It's
Yeah,
hey, look.
team that's not afraid. They ready to come punch. They ready.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
trying to get in just like the Steelers are. So
Right.
it's
And then after all that they've been through all this year, for them to be able to possibly pull it through after all the stuff that they've had to go through with the injury of Lamar Jackson and everything going on in that particular organization, if they was to able to pull it through still and make the playoffs, I mean, this would be a great win for them in that sense. You know what I'm saying? So, hey,
mm-hmm.
man, look, Steelers, man, I don't know. I think that was a bad idea, like I said, and for DK Metcalf not to be there in such a critical game is it's gonna hurt. It could hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it doesn't, but
It's definitely gonna hurt.
yeah, but
But
hopefully it
yeah, not
doesn't.
in the way where it can. Yeah,
But if it does, man, it's going. We're gonna look like you said back at that moment and gonna be like, man, you could have just turned away or just made a better decision, man.
right.
Yep, yep. But nonetheless, on to the next topic of discussion. So, according to multiple news sources, speaking of injuries, because we've been talking about injuries this episode, man, or this particular episode, Austin Reeves will be out for the next 4 weeks, my man. So, how will this affect the Lakers' standings? And should they consider trading? Yes, I did. I said trading Austin Reeves. What you
Mm,
think?
mm. Well, we're talking about the injury, how the team is so far. No, he's clearly he's missed out there as far as the most offensive production. They're doing fine because Luke is a madman, and
Right,
LeBron he's such an anchor on the offensive side, just like he is on the defensive side.
right.
And then yeah, you got guys that's stepping up. That's finally like you got Jake LaRavia, a
Hmm.
guy I believe in a lot in. He's a young guy and he's really still finding his feet as far as what he the things he can do in his skill set. Like
Right.
shooting, like he's just going in shooting the ball, and he crazy dunks, like crazy athletic dunks. You didn't know this kid has. So for I would say, but with all that being said, Austin Reeves is definitely missed. Like he's definitely missed. Like his production and what he's done so far this season is unmatched. We got like I said,
So, what you were saying on the trade, then, my man?
trade. Yeah, no. Well, originally I'm going to say no. The only reason why I would say give that some opportunity because I know the Lakers are not sort of it's a finished product as far as a complete team. In order to do that, some assets has to be traded. What I put for, Austin Reeves would seem like he's more sensible in a trade. I get that. If you're gonna trade him, at least trade him for some pieces like a 3-and-D, like a top 3-and-D guy, anything something like that. Get something out of it
Right.
as far as if you're trying to win now and you're trying to improve the team. I would say that. Otherwise, you know he he's the guy. Like he's the scorer. Like you don't want to trade anybody like that. I get it. Like you're saying, like I said before, if you're going to trade for some assets, but otherwise, I would say no. I would say
Right.
no. He's too valuable to on this team.
Right.
I would say.
I get it. No, I get it. And just on my end, and when I particularly think about Austin Reeves, I definitely number one. I think that in the immediate future, I think that they could possibly make a run and still do well without them as far as the standings go. But as far as
Hmm.
trading him would mean that he would have to be traded for. They would have to
Hmm.
trade him and probably some other pieces for another big piece to come there and give them a shot. It got to be if it's a 3 and D guy, it has to be a 3 and D guy that can also turn it on when necessary. You know what I'm saying? And so I know
Yeah.
of some guys that have that type of caliber player. And I know some trade assets that'll be good for that. I know a particular guy that would possibly be a good trade. But in order to make that trade, they would have to give up maybe a couple of pieces, like you said. Not just off. Well, Austin Reeves would be a big piece because he's a big scoring piece, but they would also have to give up maybe a couple of draft picks and another bench player in order to possibly make it happen. So
Right.
that'll be
I would
interesting.
say, yeah,
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if they should trade him right now, but because they have
I
such
wouldn't.
good
But
chemistry. But you know what I'm saying? If something was great to present itself or something good was to present itself, then they probably would explore that
yeah,
option definitely. Um, and I
yeah,
think that he would be the most likely piece to get traded. So yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah, it
right,
does make sense.
right. But with that being said, on to the final topic of discussion, my man. Um, so on to the final topic of discussion. Terence Crawford, ladies and gentlemen, right? Terence Crawford is retiring, ladies and gentlemen. He officially, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, said that he is retiring from boxing. What will you remember about the most about Terence Crawford? And could you see him coming out of retirement for the right fight? And if so, who will that fight be against?
Of course, Terence Crawford, man, just a fierce competitor, a fierce boxer, man. He's definitely gonna be missed. The matchups he had, the knockouts, and the memorial wins he had. Man, it's gonna be missed.
Oh
But
yeah,
it's funny that you asked that. If he come out of retirement for the right price, of course he would. I mean, you look at these guys, these ageless wonders nowadays.
well, I was gonna say,
Not
I
to
was
get
gonna
off,
say,
not
who would he come out for though? Well, who would you think that he it would be?
oh, of course it's got to be it's got to be like a top boxer, like well, like a wilder, anything, anybody of that nature. Somebody upscale. Of course he's gonna come out for the right fight because you can retire, but that doesn't mean you're done. Like you can be tired for the moment. I've seen guys these days. We've seen guys come back and guys who still playing in their 23rd season. LeBron,
Right,
these guys don't age what they some of these guys they retire like not when it's really that time for them to retire. They're just just getting away for a while, which is understandable.
right,
You go through a lot to train and everything to mentally prepare yourself for a fight, and just for anything else like in sports, like you're mentally preparing yourself for your opponent,
right,
and that takes preparation, that takes time, that year after year after year.
right.
And I get it. You got to get away. So for the right price or for the right for no for the right fight, he'll come back. But
Yeah,
I say for now, because no, he's still too good. He's too good to
right,
me. He's too good.
right,
So you just getting away for a while, and I get it. You need a mental break from the norm.
right,
And it's good to get that.
right.
I get it.
Absolutely. Uh, now in terms of Terrence Crawford, man, I watched this guy, especially over the last couple of years, just become just the great fighter he already was. Like I kind of looked at some of his past highlights
Hmm.
before he faced Earl Spence, and then after that dominant performance that he put on against Earl Spence to top it
Earl
off with
Spence.
all
Yep.
to top it all off with
Uh huh.
all the fights that he already had. it just showed you, just like you said, how much of a fierce competitor that he really was when it came to the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? And he really took it seriously, and he really was somebody who really,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, defines what it means to be a great boxer. And so, for now, he will be missed. And
Right.
as
Yeah.
far as him being a permanent a
Hmm.
permanent opponent, or not a permanent opponent, but just him being a consistent, and somebody that's consistently in that ring and putting on the best fight possible. If this is the last
Hmm.
time we see him do that,
Hmm.
man, what a great way to go out as one of the best champions, one of the both best pound for pound
Yeah.
boxers in the world, and what a way to do it against one of the best pound for pound boxers in Carnelo. And what a way to end it all. You know what I'm saying? If he was to never come back. But on the other hand,
Yeah.
if this man was to come back, right, he would have to face an opponent that not only made sense uh, for legacy purposes, but it would make sense for money purposes, and it would make sense overall for him to even come out of retirement in the first place. And to me,
Right.
that would have to be
Right.
somebody in his close to his division, or somebody that's just as much of a competitor as Carnelo Alvarez is. That would be
Yeah.
somebody like a Tank Davis that maybe want to go up in weight. There would be somebody like possibly a Boots Ennis, who is very, very, very competitive these days, that I could see
Huh.
Terence Crawford having a decent
Yeah.
against, right?
Boost Ennis. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you know
That's
what
a
I'm
good
saying.
matchup.
These guys would
Yeah.
definitely maybe spark some interest of Terrence Crawford coming out of retirement, not just to prove anything, because
Yeah.
at this point, like I said, he has nothing to prove. But it would be interesting for the fans, and it'd be interesting just to add that little cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? Of I can do it, and
Right.
just to let you know I can do it. I'll come back and be just one of your best opponents, and he's not that much of what you think he is. Even though I said again, and I repeat again, he
Right.
has nothing to prove, because against Carnelo, he proved he's one of the best pound for pound fighters out there of all time, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that would be. But if he was to come back, I could see him facing a type of opponent like that. Somebody like Boots Ennis, somebody like Tank Davis. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
somebody in
Tank.
that
Yeah.
range that was willing
Yeah.
to come up or down in weight class and definitely give them a run for their money.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
I'll be ready for that moment too.
Oh yeah, everybody will be ready for that moment. Just like anybody that's a great boxer, everybody is going to be out to go and see that. They're going to have a lot of fanfare at that. But with that being said, man, you know what I'm saying? That's all I got for you guys this week, man. Me and Blake, we were back again for you this time. Episode 5, baby. And man, the playoffs, like I said, the NFL playoffs
Er.
crazy. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's going to win.
Woo.
We don't know who's gonna
Yeah.
lose. You know what I'm saying, Blake? We don't know. We
We
don't
really
know,
don't.
man. We don't know, man. But all we know is that we gonna consistently give
Right.
you this sports talk.
I will be sure at this point. I'll be knowing who the top teams are.
Right.
Yeah.
But we gonna continue to give you this sports talk, and we're gonna continue to take it to the highest of the highest as far as giving you the goods of what's going on, keep you up to date, and we're gonna come back excited as always, man. But until next time, guys. We gonna see you later. God bless. Have a great weekend. Peace.